which would attract you to our state of the college. I know, it seems like I know every single one of you, but for those of you that are new to the college, I'm going to introduce many of you, but my name is Russ. I work in the president's office. It's an office of two, and I'm sad to admit that the other member of the president's office, Kathy Dimitru, has saved you all from an illness that she took on just this morning. It's chills and a headache, so you won't see her smiling face, and I'm sure that there'll be some mistakes I'll make in her absence. So I'll apologize for that now, and I'll also, she'll be happy to know that I do make mistakes in her absence. But those of you who are new, my name is Russ, and Kathy's usually with me everywhere. The State of the College is something that we've done, at least for the 4.5 years I've been here, and it's exciting for me to do it again with you, but I have to admit to you that I have tried to find ways to make this less of a dog and pony show. And I have been relatively unsuccessful at that. And in a difference of not being able to reduce the dog and pony show-ness of this event, I've decided to just make it shorter in my speech, which I know that will not upset you, and longer in the part that we've already enjoyed, which is in eating and talking and getting back together, but also longer in a part that I have to admit to is a little bit risky, but it's my request for you all to take a broader role in this kind of community conversation that has really grown out of the things that we've been doing at the college since the pandemic, that I'm going to talk to you about in a bit. But I can't dispense with some of the things that we do every time we have a State of the College, because they're useful in the kind of opening of the semester, and they're really fun for me, I have to admit to you. And one of those is introducing you to your new teammates, and I'll do that now. We only have 2 pages of these, and in the past I've asked folks to stand up and to hold the applause. I don't know how many folks are here from these lists, but I will embarrass them because I'm so proud of them being on the team. If you are here, please do stand, and then we'll say welcome to the team by a round of applause after the second slide. And so if you're here, I'm so glad you're here, and I apologize for embarrassing you, but this is part of the culture we have here. We do want to see you. We do have now, for the last 2 years, not a great opportunity, but now we have an opportunity to actually see you in the flesh. So I'm excited to introduce you all to, again, I don't know how many of these folks are here, but Hussein Ayash is a senior teller. Lisette Bernard Alicia is with Facilities Department. Lisa Bradley is the new Executive Director of HR, and I'll tell you that I know Miss Bradley's not here. She starts on Monday, and several of the folks who may not be here may be starting in the next couple of weeks. But I do want to say that there are several people, I've already seen several, who served on the search committee for the Executive Director of HR, and I want to thank you personally for the hard work that you put in for that position. Alicia Carter is an enrollment associate. Joanne Cherez is a college completion coach. Kayla Collins is a student activities assistant. Tyrone Collins is a college completion coach. Susan Jackson is an accounting analyst. Corinna Kasser is a library manager. Jared Keel is in facilities. Jessica Naki is a college completion coach. Guy Lutowitz is an application system analyst. Noah Mezaros is in facilities. DeAndre Myers is in facilities. Tracy Perry is our new Director of Admissions and Recruiting, and much like the new Executive Director for Human Resources, this new colleague will be starting with us next week, and so she's not here, I don't believe. Oh, okay, all right. Well then, Ms. Perry, you're the first one that's got to stand up, which I love. And go ahead and stay standing up. I want to brag on you a little bit. I see other people standing up. Thank you. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Look at all right. See, Ms. Perry. So there are several folks who took part in the search committee to bring Tracy Perry to us, and I'm grateful for your work also. I'll work through this list really quickly and just make a few comments. Moral Pilgrim is a senior teller. Anthony Tomei is in facilities along with Jalen Walker, and then Kyle Wiles is with campus safety. So now, Ms. Perry, I got an initial round of applause for you, but we're going to do a round of applause for everyone who's who's joining us now. Thank you. And now you can sit down. Thank you very much. I appreciate your willingness to help me there. I want to say a few things about our new teammates and about this group. We're pretty serious. I'm pretty serious about the culture that we have at this institution. And part of a culture is what we people that have come together as a team or a family or a group of people working together or worshiping together. It's what we have come to kind of expect of each other. And it's what we can rely on when we're not really sure what the future may hold. And part of this state of the college is to recreate and to reimagine what we do in that regard, but also fall back on the cultural norms that we have. And one of the things that's really important is the concept of teamwork, which is why I asked you to stand up. I want you to sense that it's important all the way from the president's office down that we're teammates here, and that we work together because we really do believe that if we do this work as well as we can change lives through public service. And that's not trivial. There's a lot of people. In fact, I would guess every single person in this room could work elsewhere, probably make more money, and have less of an impact on the people around them. And so when we ask you to stand, it's because you're coming into what is part of our culture. So I'm excited to have the opportunity to introduce you. And the last thing I'll say about that culture is to all you folks who are new, if you email me, if you want time with me, if you think that there's some way I can improve, or the president's office can improve, or the cabinet can improve, please reach out to me. If you reach out to me, I will respond to you directly. And if any of you are not new and have reached out to me, you know that that's true. So I invite you new teammates to take advantage of this culture of teamwork that began with you having to stand and us applauding you, because we're excited to have you here. I also want to do another cultural norm that we enjoy these sessions, and that is congratulations. One of the things we congratulate is the achievement of tenure, and you can see that from our colleagues Sarah Castillo, Candace Niemer, and Jessica Schamberger. And before we do a round of applause, I also want to say thank you for the service and a bittersweet goodbye to some of our colleagues who have retired. That's Gail Bach, Mohammed Hazimi, David Tillman, and Gary Wachowski. And before we do a round of applause, I do know that these lists are incomplete. Some of the reason they're incomplete is because we've tried to build them right up until this morning, and then some of the reasons they're incomplete is because we don't like to make major announcements about people, particularly when they're making a job or a retirement decision, until we've done that. We've known for sure that they want us to announce that. So if you're wondering whether your friend or yourself should be on this list and they're not, please reach out to me. I will make amends, certainly at the next day of college, but between now and then. But between now and then, please join me in congratulating these individuals for some of the things that I do during these days of college is to give you some idea of what's coming for this year and this semester. And in the years past, I've done pretty in-depth analyses of these things, and I'm not going to do that today. In fact, it's going to be quite short. Those of you who are not new know that these presentations are probably, in the past, about 45 minutes to an hour long, and I know you will not believe me, but I'm already halfway through the presentation. So we're not going to go, yes, I would applaud myself in that regard also. Thank you, Mr. Dewey. But I want you to know that some of the things are so important I can't not talk about them. The last time we came together, I talked to you about my belief and having been convinced that we need to find an executive director of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and some folks choose to use an acronym DEIB, or diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And I know that several of you here have been helping me come to that conclusion. And I know that some of you, in fact, some of you may have seen this proposed job description. Anyone raise their hand who's given input on this job description? I see a lot of hands here. I appreciate that feedback. And I know some of the folks who have been working with me on this question may have wondered, is Captain serious about this? Is he actually going to do this? In fact, some of you have been candid enough, which I encourage, to actually say that to me. So let me tell you what we've done on this and where we're headed, very briefly. You know this conversation came to an ugly and difficult point when George Floyd was murdered during the pandemic. And then this college undertook a series of steps to evaluate our posture and our culture as it regards DEIB. We had a town hall. We had a campus climate survey. We had focus groups. We had various groups of our colleagues come together through affinity groups and meet with me regularly. Some very, very strongly advocating for a position of DEIB. We evaluated what sister and brother institutions were doing on this question. We even contemplated having a consultant come in and give us more analysis, which I know for some of you thought that was analysis paralysis, which is why we didn't do that. But over the last 6 months, the last time I was here with you, I told you I'm convinced we do need to have this kind of position. But for those of you who are wondering, is he really serious about this? I need you to know that flipping a switch is not something I can do on this. This kind of position needs to be well thought out and well funded. And right now, we're building the budget for the next year. So a position like this is not something I can just say we can afford immediately. Or if we could, we'd have to cut somewhere else. So as long ago as this point last year is when we started getting serious, at least at the executive level for this position. I need you to know that I took what you had to say very seriously about this. And I'm proud to say that we are going to post this position. Dr. Gunn, was it going today? Today this is going to be posted. And I need your help. I need your help to find qualified candidates. I need your help for those of you that want to look at the posting and maybe consider yourself for it. Look at it, because this is the product of a long journey that will never be over, indeed. Never be over to kind of evaluate what our posture is and who we want to be as it regards this important topic. But one way that I can show you that I'm serious about this is to fund, search for, and place an executive level position that will help us constantly keep our pulse on these questions and these data that we've been building. And it's also in keeping with what I've promised to you. If you, my teammates, say to me, we have a problem, or we have a need, or we need to improve, and you focus on us as an institution and the people we serve as the reason we need the change, which is what you did. If you focus on how this college needs this, how this college and its students will be improved by a change in our posture, I will meet you, and I will advocate, and I will get things done on this behalf. And so this is the reason why I wanted to make sure I told you about this, because I see this in keeping with another cultural norm, which is, I promise you, the President's office will hear you, and if it is focused on what makes this institution better, I will meet you halfway and sometimes more than halfway. Now, there are a lot of different leadership changes around the college that I often outline at this event, and I'm not going to do that now because it frankly will take more time than I want to take up now, but it's not any less important. So what I decided this year to do is to give you a message, as I've always done after the state of the college, and to give you an update of the different leadership changes and position changes that we have. And I apologize for anyone who finds that a little bit disconcerting that their name wasn't announced here. I promise you, it is no slight, but it is an attempt to make this more of a community conversation rather than ticking the boxes here. One other topic that I want you to be aware of that we're getting a lot of traction on, and that was a part of my promise to you to take seriously our focus on DEIB, is what is our ABIDE, Advancing Belonging, Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Plan. That is a strategy that takes seriously everything that I outlined about our institution's review of how our posture is and how we want to be as it regards this important topic. This is the work of many, many hands and many professionals. And if you want a copy of this, in the message I'm going to be circulating after this meeting, you'll have an opportunity to get this. In fact, if anyone wants to race up here after my speech, you're welcome to have this. But I want to tell you, this is a result of what we learned about ourselves and who we want to be on this issue of diversity. And it's also the result of some hard work by the woman named Tracy Davis, who is an assistant director at the HR department, which her presence at this institution was the product of a reorganization of the HR department. All of these things happen month after month, semester after semester, but they're the culmination of where we're headed and why I'm excited to be here, because these are things you told us as a cabinet and as a president that you wanted to see improvement or focus on. And Tracy Davis, I know you've all seen her because she's ubiquitous on this campus, whether it be in person or virtually. And if you've been on a search committee, you've probably known more about this by strategy than you thought you ever would. But her work on this and her training on this is part of my obligation to you. And I hope that you're feeling that we've answered your call for an improved and responsive HR department and a focus on diversity. One person asked, hey, is there training associated with the Abide strategy? And I said, yes. And then they asked the important question, well, how long is it and does the cabinet have to go through this? And the answer is it's a day-long training, and the cabinet is going to go through this, I believe, next week. And if any of you all who haven't served on search committees, who haven't gone through this training, I encourage you to talk to Ms. Davis about how to get the training or ways to take it in chunks. But this is another point that I want to bring to your attention as our cultural norm of the leadership here, hearing what you all have directed and convinced leadership that is important for the institution. And so before I move to the next item, I thought I saw Tracy and Ms. Davis. Yes, there you are. Ms. Davis, please stand. I want to congratulate you for your work on that. So I'm running the last current on my track here for this presentation. I want to tell you about First Fridays and more President's Outings. These are my attempt to bring us back to campus to enjoy the presence of each other. And I have to admit to you, this is a learning process. We're coming back from a pandemic. We're trying to learn how to work and teach and live in different ways. And I recognize some are not convinced that being back in person is either the best or even worth the time. I respect and appreciate the different views on that. And I will continue to hear those. I, at this point, continue to believe that we're better and we have the best work at the intersections, the physical intersections of our work, that our teaching for those students that want it in person is at least as good as online, in some regards better. I continue to believe that we can build each other up and build from within, build leaders from within and show students what leadership looks like if it happens in person and around us. And one of the ways that I've started to see that was through something called the First Fridays. How many people have been to a First Friday before? For those of you that haven't, or for those of you that are new, this came about during the pandemic when we lost the opportunity to have these kind of gatherings in person. And we held basically large Zoom town halls with very little on the agenda except me asking folks to talk about what's working at the college, what's not working at the college, what kind of feedback they can give to me, the president, or the leadership. And I invited anyone who wanted to attend, students, community members, faculty, staff. And that was very successful in at least gathering somewhat of what we have here as a community. And a lot of the organic, serendipitous things that sprung out of that were people saying and telling me how wonderful it was to hear about the work they're doing in the classroom, or hear about the exercises they're making in facilities or the finance department. And students saying how their lives have been changed by the work that you all are doing. And so as we started to come out of the pandemic, I wanted to try to continue to get what the good was out of that, but do it in a in-person format. Now, we've been transitioning to that. In fact, we've had the last several First Fridays in person and on Zoom, but I have noted to you all, and I am going to stick with the idea that going forward in the new year, we're going to continue to have those types of gatherings, but they are going to be only in person. And for those that feel like that ostracizes them or gives them not an opportunity, please reach out to me, because I'm continuing to contemplate how we can give you the resource you want, which is either access to me or your colleagues. I also have heard some feedback about how we can improve this, some concern about whether individuals will have an open license to criticize others. And I can tell you that I take that very seriously. We haven't allowed that in any of the, I think, are we over 2 years of First Fridays, Rondo? Over 2 years, I have not allowed anyone to criticize anyone in those meetings except me, which I say at the beginning of each meeting. There's no pointed criticism here because that's simply not fair to anyone else, unless you want to criticize the president's office, which is frankly completely appropriate. And other than those bits of feedback from me, these meetings have been completely free of the kind of worries of maybe a student criticizing the administrator, or maybe a student saying, Professor Cavaloon is a real crazy person, I don't like him. I haven't allowed that. Frankly, I haven't had to play police officer on that because it has never happened. But I've heard those concerns, of course, and of course I've also heard that maybe there's a little bit of a muted opportunity to give feedback for us if we're having students and staff together. And I'm still contemplating how to handle that. You may have noticed in the previous last 2 months, I asked students to leave the meeting and the last part to open that dialogue. I'm going to keep thinking about those things, but I want you to give me your feedback because we're going to start in February. We're taking January off. This is kind of our first Fridays for January, but we'll continue in February, and I'll make the changes that we can to improve and keep the benefits of the First Fridays ideas. For instance, one of you have told me, look, Fridays just don't work. Not a lot of people on campus, students or staff otherwise. So it's very likely we'll change the week. We lose the kind of fun name, First Fridays there, but to get more people to come and be around each other, I'll continue to try and incentivize attendance. You probably saw I tried to incentivize attendance with physical activity, which was a little bit of a miserable failure. But you know, I mean, I'm learning. And we'll continue to do those things, but I offer your opportunity to give me feedback. And the last thing I'll say about First Fridays, or whatever we call it in the next several months, is please don't see this as your only opportunity to tell me how you feel about the college, how you feel about my performance, what we should do and change. You've always got that opportunity. You can email me, I'll directly respond to you. Most of you have my direct line, you can call me. If you want time one-on-one with me, I will make that time for you. Please know that this First Fridays is not your only opportunity. If you need me to come to your workstation or to buy you a cup of coffee off-site, I'll do that. This is an idea of bringing us together and enjoying what we have to share, which is this opportunity to be together with students, faculty and staff, and do the work that really changes lives through public service and public education. Another attempt I tried to do was to say, let's do that in other venues and then show off parts of the campus. You saw me do that with pizza and hoops, dinner and hoops, and pizza and a play. I'll probably come up with other ideas how to do that in this springtime. But if you have ideas that you want students and me and other faculty and staff to come see your area, that's part of the goal here, is to be together but also show off parts of our campus that you would otherwise not see or have students engage with you on. Please let me know those ideas and I'm happy to take them into consideration. This is all about our culture and coming back to the campus. I want to talk just briefly about our culture in coming back to the campus, because it's not easy. These are my attempts to bring us back together and to convince those that need convincing that we're better together. But it's also an opportunity to hear and understand feedback on these questions of how we come back. And make no mistake about this, people are watching us on this difficult transition because everyone's going through it. Our students are watching us and how we're interacting with each other on these really difficult questions. Our fellow community members who support this college with their students and their tax dollars, they're watching us and how we're doing this. And I want to encourage you to show them what we are and how we deal with these difficult questions. You know, we have all kinds of great processes to deal with conflict and differences of opinion. I hope over the last 4.5 years, any one of you who thought I made a mistake felt complete license to say, Russ, I don't agree with what you're doing, and here's why. I hope that if you're a member of a collective bargaining unit, that you know your leader has an absolute opportunity to say that to me in any context they want. And in most instances, that has worked really, really well. But when it doesn't work, we have really great processes to decide disputes in a civil and professional way. And in all of the circumstances, that has worked during my tenure here. And the relationships between us, and when we're having conflict, we've shown our students, we've shown our community that we can do this in a way that understands there inevitably will be differences of opinion. There inevitably will be differences of thought. I'm asking you to consider to let us continue to do that. And there's two things I think about when I'm trying to help myself get through a conflict. One is, none of us can be right all the time. We just can't always be right. And I'm not exempt from that. I can promise you, I don't see any trustees here today. But if you did, I could say, the trustees are more than able to tell me when I'm not right. You all have been able to tell me when I'm not right. Now, when we're in a dispute and we're discussing an issue that's difficult, I expect each of us to have a difference of opinion and just have a strong belief. That's important and it's good. In fact, my speeches at these events have engendered those kind of discussions. I can think of recently, I made a speech at one of these events and I got a lot of criticism from some individuals for the messages I delivered, and it was very, very useful. Some of it I agreed with, some of it I didn't, but the conversation I had with the person giving me that feedback was very useful. Understanding, and I improved as a result of understanding their criticisms of me. Now, the second thing I'll tell you is, if you're in a dispute, please consider the professional and appropriate processes we've had set up, but also consider if you make it personal, if you call names, if you attack someone's morality, it shuts down the opportunity to continue the relationship beyond that dispute. And our students in our community will see that. It is completely appropriate to say, bad decision, you shouldn't have done that, and here's why. But it hurts us when we call names, when we attack each other's motives. And if in the rare instances there are really illegal, immoral, or racist conduct, we do have processes to make those claims and adjudicate them. But when they're not the case, help me keep our students and our community to see us being respectful to each other, even when we disagree. Many of you have seen me talk about the strategic plan. That is something that I'm very excited about. I'm very excited about, because for those of you that were on the strategic planning team or gave feedback on it, you heard me saying, I think higher education is turning the corner and we can be the leaders of it. And we're starting to see some of that. Before I get into any of that, I'll just say, please raise your hand if you were on the strategic planning team. Those of you, I appreciate your service in that regard. And I want to say, if you haven't already seen the strategic plan, please take time to see it. I walk around with this, it's folded, I walk around with it a lot. These are the focuses of our strategic plan. And if you have a concern about this college and you voice your concern as a way to move the needle on this strategic plan, I promise you, you'll have a fair hearing, and if I can do it, I'll give you the resources to make it happen. And we're starting to see why this is so important to focus on student success. Industry and the government have started saying we want institutions to focus on this. The legislature in Lansing has already started to say 25% of our funding comes from the state, and they've started to say, and I think in this next legislative session you're going to see even more action that will directly ask for outputs on the metrics that we've now said are important to us, like graduation, retention, and completion. Philanthropy has started to look for us and others who are leading on this. We had the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation, who, if you're not aware, is one of the biggest and most aggressive grant-making entities in Southeast Michigan, have their board meeting on our campus, asking how they can support us in our student success mission. And the work that we've done as a college to unanimously say that we're focused on student success, that is what we used as our blueprint. And other institutions have started to realize it. I want to compliment Dr. Nealon and Holly Diamond for what they've accomplished over the last 2 months. But I have to say, the lion's share of these types of things usually go to one person grinding away at the work, and it really is Dr. Nealon. What we now can say to our students as a result of these two agreements, and they're just the beginning, is that if you come to Henry Ford College and you get through your associate degree, not only will we give you the money back if we increase tuition, but we'll take away the question of whether you deserve to be at U of M, Dearborn, or Wayne State after you get your associate degree. You don't even have to ask for permission. You just have to tell them, I'm on my way. And think about that. That is a real stumbling block for our students. You who work with them, you know that. Taking these hurdles off the table and being able to say to our students, the next best thing, the gold standard for your quality of life is the bachelor's degree. And you don't have to worry about whether you belong across the street at U of M Dearborn or at Wayne State University. You have a guaranteed admission process as long as you get through your associate degree and have a minimum grade point average, which I know we can do better than anyone else. So please join me in thanking Dr. Nealon for his great work on this. Go ahead, Dr. Nealon. Stand up, stand up, stand up. So, if you're interested in more parts of the strategic plan, I'm not going to go through all of them today, but we are doing many presentations at the board meetings on the things we're doing there. And in this coming semester, my plan is to have a website where you can go see each of the strategic plan goals, what we're doing on them, and how to give me feedback about what we should accomplish. I recognize at my last day of the college, I told you we'd have that up by now. My apologies, we're not there yet. There's a lot of different reasons, but it's my responsibility. But I will get it done for you this semester. You will have a website where you'll be able to see our strategic plan and you'll be able to see the activities we're doing and how we can take the pulse on those metrics. So the last part of this is the part I want to talk to you about, you all, talking with me and to each other. This is a picture of what I describe as the failed attempt to have physical activity at the state of the college. And it was my attempt to bring us together, and I promised we could go jog or walk together. And some folks came out, and it was great. And I'm probably going to try it again this summer and the next fall, so please, maybe even in the spring, so please consider coming out. But when we had these types of meetings, you see that gentleman there who's got glasses and a Champions shirt on? That young man's name's Philo. And Philo was at this, and he jogged with us, and then he went into the Barry Auditorium with us, and we had First Friday, and his English was broken. And he's talking to us with all of us watching who were at this event. And he said, you know, I'm really excited to be here in this country. I'm really excited to be at this institution. And I'm still a little bit embarrassed about my English, but I'm working on it. And I'm really excited about the future that I can see through this college. And this is the reason we're here. And it occurred to me that you all know that more than I do. And that sometimes at these state of the colleges, we have colleagues who say, you know what, there's another person out there who's doing great work and it excites me. And I want to encourage that today as we close this state of the college. In fact, I'm going to incentivize it. If you're willing to do that to one of your colleagues and say, for instance, the people in this photograph, you can see Dr. Gonko there, right over Kathy Dimitrio's shoulder. I would say, you know, Dr. Gonko is one of the best teammates I've got. You can count on her to be truthful, you can count on her to work hard, and when I give her an assignment, I know that I'll get my best effort out of her, and I know she'll be respectful to anyone that she works with. When there's conflict, she'll resolve it very effectively. She's just a really reliable teammate. And if I were one of you all, what I'm about to ask you to do, I'd walk over and I'd give her a $10 gift card here at Henry Ford College. Or I could say, you know, I see Jeremy Tabor on this photograph. He's got his Greyhound down below him. And, you know, I see this guy, he walks around campus, and I tell you, he perpetually is optimistic. He's been in my office, he's been around campus. That guy, he makes me happier when I'm around him. And I don't really know how to quantify that other than to say I like when I walk past him in the hallway. The guy in the top right on this picture is Tony Perry. And I have to tell you, Tony and I meet so often. I know his kids. I know how he likes to give alcohol at the holidays as presents. But I can tell you, Tony is a really valuable resource to this college. He himself also works his tail off. He understands the mission here. I have students go out of their way complimenting Dr. Perry. When I want to do an exciting project that could really fail, like this one, he shows up. And, you know, I would walk across the hall and give Tony Perry a $10 gift card. But I don't want to give all those out now. And so this is the riskier part of the state of the college. I'm going to ask you to help me do that. Because I do think that we can start this semester off with calling each other out for the goodness that we see in each other. And again, this is a bit risky because, you know, I know that this is a hard time. I know people may have some concerns about what we're doing or have misgivings. But I'm asking you to consider, at least for the rest of this presentation, to focus on the positive. I'm asking you to think, you know what, there's someone who doesn't get enough sunshine. I'd like to call their name out. And I'd like to show that I care about them at least, and maybe the rest of my colleagues would benefit from seeing or hearing about them. It's a little risky for a president to do this. Anybody seen Festivus on Seinfeld? I'm willing to take on that risk. I'm willing to incentivize this kind of discussion. But I'm also optimistic because I know you. I see you, I know the vast majority of you. And I know every single one of you who I've interacted with cares about this institution, is interested in its success and your teammates' success, is here to support students. That's the reason why I really like working with you. And so I'm asking you to consider coming down and taking a microphone. Are we ready to start? Vice President DeLong. Okay, so I've asked a couple of my friends to help me pass microphones along. And if this is anything like a First Friday, there's a little bit of an ice to break, and then the dam breaks, and then we really, okay. Mr. Barra, let's see, where, I think we can get a microphone close to you. Maybe we can pass it through President Rader. And if anyone wants to kind of get the line going, you can either come down here or raise your hand and we'll get over to you. Go ahead, Kurt, if you pass it down to President Rader.
Why don't we start? Okay, we'll do Eric and then Kathy over here. I do want to point out, when we give you one of these cards, two things. Number one, when we give you the card, you're supposed to give it to the person or people that you are complimenting. Don't keep it for yourself. And I expect and hope that we will run out of these. If we do run out of them, let me know. Make sure you send me an email and I will get one to you so that you can give it to those people. And if you give out more than one kudo, we will get those to you. This is a commitment from the President's office. So anyway, let's go. Eric?
Thank you for this opportunity. I would like to give a shout out, and actually I have two. But the first one is for Pam Stewart, Molly McCord, and Charlie Claiborne. And we came to them from the health programs and talked to them about our ESL students who were having difficulty with reading and vocabulary. Their clinical skills were well defined. But at any rate, these three individuals met with us as a group, and then they were able to come up with a solution and coordinate and devote time to the Learning Lab for tutoring. And so I want to give a shout out to them for really reaching across the aisle and working with our students and us as health professionals.
So, the logistics of these things, sorry, Sue, I didn't even think we got to get you the card, you got to decide who you want to hand it to. This is kind of like, that awkward part of the family reunion where gifts are being handed out. So please help me think through how to do that, folks. Also, Dr. Perry is going to take the stage after me. And Dr. Perry, what is the time frame on that? 10:30. Oh, wait, well, okay, so let's keep it going. And yes, Deb's off. And please introduce yourself because we have new teammates here. Maybe just say, like, my name's Russ Cavill and I work in the President's office and I want to talk about...
Hi, I'm Deb Zoff. I've been here for a long time. I teach math. I'd like to do a shout out to Carolyn Casal. I'm not sure if Carolyn's here. Her son is out of school. Carolyn, you here? Carolyn came to us about a year and a half ago. And she came at a time when education, Michigan Department of Education made dramatic changes in teacher certification and teacher education programs. Carolyn has done an amazing job of bringing our program up to snuff. So that's number one. So I think she gets 2 cards. Is that she has reached out to schools. We are now working hand in hand with William D. Ford Elementary and their 5th graders, and we have had a number of reading experiences. Our students going to William D. Ford and working with Kim Koji's 5th graders, and now another class, and now 3 5th grade classes, where each student gets a book. They read the books in groups, and then our students conduct conversations about the book. It's just mushroomed. So, Cindy, you've got a third thing? The new articulation agreements, thanks Cindy. So she has worked very hard with Eastern, U of M, Dearborn, and Wayne State in creating articulation agreements so that our new programs, our courses transfer course for course as required courses in bachelor's programs. So Carolyn, wherever you are, I will text her shortly. And thank you to Carolyn.
Thank you. Before we go to the next one, Deb, I just want to say, I want to compliment you, and not many people know this, but I'm happy to share it. I try to get my family on campus a lot, because I care a lot about this institution. I'm here a lot, and I actually want them to see where I am when I'm not with them. And you may not know this, but sometimes I even bring my 78-year-old mother here. She was a community college student. I hope she doesn't mind me saying she was a poor kid who got a chance through higher education at a community college. And I don't know how this conversation happened, Deb, but somehow you and she had a conversation in your office in my absence. And I don't remember how it happened, but I do remember what a remarkable way you treated her, and she still brags about the way you and she interacted. Her eyes light up, and I appreciate you for that conversation. All right, so yes, before we go here, I just want to say, I'm just thinking this now. When we break, if you're willing, I'd like to take a picture, a group picture of those of you who have decided you want to do these shout outs and the people who you're shouting out. If you're willing, we can do it right out there in front of the big flag that has our emblem. If you don't want to, it's fine. Okay, good morning.
Good morning. I'm Brenda Hildreth, and I'm the coordinator for student outreach and support. And there are two that I would like to give a shout out to. The first is Ms. Cynthia Anderson, who works with me in student outreach and support. She is a fantastic worker. She is excellent with not only the students who come into the office, but also with community contacts. She's been able to help us find jobs for students and do all kinds of things that are really outside of what she's expected to do. And with the fact that we had lost one of our staff members, she has been willing to step up and do extra work, put in extra time. So I'd like to give a shout out to her. The second is, and I don't know if we can give this to administrators, but I'm blessed to be working with a lot of really gifted and caring administrators, people that I have to report to. And one of them is Vice President Reginald Best. And I think he's often overlooked, but I want him to know that I really appreciate his leadership. What he is doing. So I'd like I'd like to give a shout out to both of those two people.
Thank you, thank you. Some of you may not know, but one of the most difficult things to do is to search for an executive director of HR. But even more difficult than that is to lead the search committee, which is what Reginald Best did, and to a successful outcome. So thank you for that. Who? Dr. Nealon.
I did. She's saying, turn it on, turn it on. I'm like, I did. I'm a vice president too. I can figure things out. I'm just kidding. I don't know how many of you remember this, but we were down to the wire. Grades were due. And all of a sudden, the hue and cry went up. No teacher can enter any grades at this time, and the deadline was coming, and I didn't know what to fear more. The crowd of angry faculty with pitchforks and torches coming to the fourth floor, or the mobs of students that would be rejoicing in the streets about not having their grades reported before Christmas. But I had to do something. I picked up the phone and I called Karen Sedanowitz. And I said, I know I'm not the right vice president. I know, like the wicked witch of the witch, that I have no power here. But I'm willing to put everything on the line if you can help see and find a way to get us over and through this hurdle. And it might mean extending grades for another 24 hours and communicating that. And I gotta tell you, without missing a beat, she said, Michael, we can and we will. And so I need to call out Karen. And while I have the microphone, I want to call out the two people that I'm sandwiched between. Because Academic Affairs' division has only 3 people in its office. There's Michael, but there's Denise Pichet and Mary Fleck. I have to say that most of us talk about having the angel on this shoulder and the devil on this one. I got 2 angels. The devil's in the middle. Anyway, thank you, Karen. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Denise.
Okay, we're going to go to President Rader, but before we do, I have to say, for those of you who knew, this is Vice President Michael Nealon. He's the Vice President of Academic Affairs. And please do introduce yourself when you come up. And if you decide, I'm not going to get your way, if you want to shout out multiple people, you will have to figure out how to deliver the one priceless item of $10 that Henry Ford got. And cutting up the card will probably not achieve any result worth having. So, how are we doing on those? Are we running out? Are you giving out one each?
I'm giving out one each. Those that need more will contact me.
Okay, all right, sorry. I've thought through this. President Rader, good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. My name is Eric Rader. I teach political science here at Henry Ford, and I'm also the president of Local 1650, the full-time faculty union. And glad to be here with all my fellow union presidents, to see Leslie right here. It's a great honor to represent the 1650 members here on campus. And I hate to I'd like to nominate every one of them because they are all wonderful. But in particular, we have as of January 1st, we have a new position. And I know the college is in the process of searching for DEI officer position. We actually just instituted one in our union on January 1st. So it's the first thing for us. It may be a first thing in AFT or certainly in AFT Michigan that we have a DEI officer on our exec board, one of our at-large officers. And that is Dr. Courtney Matthews, who I think I saw back here. Dr. Matthews has worked very closely with Dr. Harvell and Mr. Claiborne on the Black Male and Queens Focus Group, and she's been a great teammate in the college and certainly in 1650, so I want to honor her as our brand new DEI officer.
So if the person is here, go ahead and take the card. This is very dramatic. We could have drum roll music next time, Rhonda. Good morning.
Hi, I'm Ruth Ann Schmidt, and I would like to thank Dr. Nealon and President Kavanaugh for their support of the library. And I'd like to thank our librarians. By the way, I teach English, and this is why I think also they are so exceptional. They are exceptional teachers, and if you bring them into your classroom, they are just excellent. Thank you.
So before we run, I just want to shout out the library. If you have not been to the library in 6 months, please go. You will see what a difference carpeting makes. And that is not a joke. I mean, it is fantastic, and that is the result of, and I just have to say to you, these types of, these decisions cost money. And some of them are really easy, but they are hard to figure out the money. And we did it, and man, when I went into that library, I hear it from students. I see Kate Harder, the director of the library. It just looks great. So please go there, take your students, take your staff, sit down, relax. It's great there. And I just can't believe how great it looks with carpeting. New carpeting, sorry. I'm stepping on someone who, Kathy, go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah. Paul Matlin, are you here? Paul Matlin is one of our facilities guys. I am Kathy Campbell. I run the ophthalmic technician program,
and I have called service for my instruments in my lab, and they have not helped me. And I was talking to Paul one day, and I said, hey, Paul, I said, these guys can't fix anything. He goes, well, Kathy, let me come over and take a look. He came over and fixed my instruments. He has made my life so much easier for teaching. Huge kudos to this man. I want him forever.
So if you don't know Paul, and I want to talk to you about that because you sent an email around to all kinds of people saying that, and it spreads.
Yes.
That people see, wow, Paul actually, and by the way, for those of you who don't know Paul, he's usually driving one of the snow removal things or fixing equipment that he doesn't know how to fix but can. And he's got a young son who is a fantastic little rambunctious kid. I think Paul goes away from home to relax from his son. And I know that, as he and I talked about, I have the same problem. So thank you for sending that email around. That was really great.
Thank you.
Dean Gilliland, how are you?
Good morning. Good, thank you. So I don't have to introduce myself, but I'm Janice. I'm the Dean of the School of STEM. I used to teach math. I would like to shout out Callie Baratono. We started something on a whim called STEM Welcome Day, and we welcome students who hadn't yet started to the college. Her and her team called, emailed, double-checked, planned everything, made agendas, made packets. And we've done 2 rounds of this, and the last time we came, we have many more students say they were planning to come than did on, and so we sat and we listened to the students. And what we heard from them was that if they had had the opportunity, they would have liked to have brought somebody in their family. And the nice thing about that is, we know our community is very family oriented, and one student even said, and my mom never got to go to college, so maybe she'll come with me. So just a kudo to Kelly, and we're going to revise and continue.
Hi, I'm Janelle Mills. I'm one of the librarians here, and I wanted to shout out our library director, Kate Harder. Kate is continuously, constantly a fearless, amazing leader that is constantly pushing Tessa and I to do better, to be better librarians, professionals. Her vision for the library, every single day Kate comes to work, and she's never not spending time thinking about how she can make the library better. The fall semester was super trying for us. We had new carpet, but that was months and months and months of planning and work, constant work on her behalf to make sure the project was moving forward, all the little decisions you have to make. We spent the semester with preparing for potential censorship challenges that you probably saw in the news. Just preparing for that, being proactive with that kind of stuff. That is constantly what we're doing, and trying to make the library a better place, academically a better place. I mean, it's constant moving forward with Kate. So it's just a joy to work for her, so thank you.
Hello. Hi, my name is Liz Hoffman, and I would like to call out somebody that has helped all of us, and right not here, but that's Vicki Bassett, our little master. Vicki is amazing.
Liz, you just totally hesitated me. I was like, wait, that's Liz Hoffman. I'm looking, it's someone completely different. That's all right. I love that shout out. Thank you. I was just like having the most mental dissonance in my brain possible. Good morning.
Hi, I'm Delphine.
Delphine, I was like, how can Delphine and
Call me Delphine.
Liz Hoffman be the same person?
I'm here with admissions and recruitment, and I know many of you have seen me roaming around campus with many, many students. But what I would really like to do is thank Patty Plogus and Cynthia Berrien from Facilities, because without their help, most of my group tours would have been a disaster. So Patty has supplied me with the ammunition or the food for these groups that are coming in, and Cynthia makes sure that I have the facilities to host the students in. And there have been times that I have actually forgotten to book these groups, so I usually go in panic mode. But I make that phone call to Cynthia, and she makes sure that everything comes to fruition for me. And then with Patty, when I have problems with the food order, she still makes sure that she comes through for me, and if the company that we're going through makes an error, then I have to give Skylight Cafe, Bruce and Jonathan a handshake as well, or a pat on the back, because they will help me pull together the food so that none of the students go hungry. Thank you.
So Delphine, am I remembering correctly, did you lead the search committee for Miss Perry's selection?
Yes, I was.
Yes. Miss Delphine led the search committee which selected the new director of recruiting. So that one was a really hard one, and congratulations on that. Thank you for doing that. All right, so yes, Rico, good morning, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. My name is Rico Spencer. I'm just here. No, I'm in Detroit Promise. This thing always feels weird. I feel like, you won a Grammy or Oscar or something. You give all a shout out.
You deserve an Oscar.
Hey, you walk away with the Grammy and the Oscar, you actually really don't give it to somebody else. But I do want to shout out some people because in our office, first of all, I want to shout out my coworkers. We dope. We real dope over in Detroit Promise. So Mark Yancey and Elise, who are over in the office, because our days, even after going Christmas break, we never really got to break. Our students hit us up. So I would definitely want to shout them out. And Dr. Best, you got a shout out already, but man, you my guy. You're always there. And Delphine, what you do for our students, always, calling and hey, I need some students. That's so appreciated. That is so very appreciated. Dr. Chapman, you don't know the possibilities that you just opened up for me. Not only are you my friend, but yeah. Now, we got Stephanie is my favorite slice of cake. It's not a time that we don't chat Stephanie, and she knows she's about to get hit in January, first freshman students, and how this first semester went, but it's not a time that we don't jump on teams and say, Steph, we got a problem. And she's like, we check on that, like right away, we check on that. And we so appreciate it. I know President Calhoun, you mentioned one of our students, and so I'm gonna put her on the spot, even though she don't want to be on the spot. So Joanna Cherish, who's a campus completion coach now, she graduated, and she's a Detroit Promise student. She graduated from Henry Ford. She came to Detroit Promise. Graduated from Henry. So, but the last person I'm actually gonna get his card to, since you don't get his card to in my little Grammy speech, is Adresa. Adresa came in. She walked in when she first got here. She walked to our office and said, look, I want to be of help. I know there's some students on here that need some services, need them learning services. And trust me, we gave her a difficult one off the bat. But she jumped in and got the ball rolling, and that was greatly appreciated. It's the work that we do over Detroit Promise is about holistically getting students to the next level. And it's always helpful when we got people in our corner and say, hey, how can we help you achieve that? So, Adresa, thank you very much.
I guess I'll go next. My name is Karen Sedanowitz, and I work in the registration office, and if you haven't heard from me, then if you haven't heard from me yet, you don't want to ever be on that naughty list, right? So I do want to shout out a few people. First, the staff of the registration office is actually, we're understaffed right now, so there's 5 people that keep the registration office running. Danielle Brown, Kim Black, Joy Locklear, Lara Laney, and Jonathan Bartonoff. So they take care of all your questions, your emails, your calls, so we couldn't do it without them. And then Sean Stevens is here, and Beth Gerada are the managers in the office, and they help me take care of everything with the registration office. So I want to give a shout out to all of them. Thank you very much. There's 2 more people here that I think deserve kudos as well. That's Sulia Larman and Sarah Gonzalez. They work in the international office, and they take care of our international students students every day. They answer their questions. They set up events for them so they can acclimate to our culture, have fun, meet the other international students. So will you please stand up, Sarah and Sulian, because you deserve.
Kevin, I'm sorry, I'm cutting the line here, but Kevin?
Hi, I'm Kevin Dewey.
Okay, so we'll do Kevin, then this aisle, then this aisle.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kevin Dewey, full-time music faculty here for 28 years. It was really weird. I still feel like a young kid on the block, but I'm like fourth in seniority or something now. It's strange. Anyway, I would like to give kudos to Jeremy Palmer. As many of you are familiar with the music program. We have an associate in arts and music, plus plenty of choirs and bands that perform all over the place and make CDs and YouTubes and stuff. But Jeremy has served as he's a 20-hour non-instructional assisting in the music area, but he has developed and built the program, the Recording Arts program. It's a new program that Randy Knight started X years ago, but Jeremy has brought it to the next level where all of our instructors are avid Pro Tools certified instructors, and avid Pro Tools is the program for recording studio technology that everybody gets the industry standard worldwide. And so we have worldwide, professional level facilities for recording and teaching recording studies. And all of our teachers are Pro Tools, avid Pro Tools certified instructors. And that way now all of our students that go through that program take certification exams to become avid Pro Tools certified users, which is a marvelous credential for getting a job in a recording studio. It's practically a job getter all by itself. So thanks to Jeremy Palmer for heading that thing up, and he's a part-timer.
My name is Scott Still. I'm an English instructor here. This is actually my 19th January state of the college. I've been here for 19 years. Wow. Starting my 19th year. I'm an English instructor, co-director of CTEI, and a proud member of the School of Liberal Arts, and that's what brings me to the mic today. I want to, as we welcome a new permanent dean into this role, which has been vacant for so long, I just wanted to give a shout out to the folks who have led us for the last several years. Larry Smirsky, who assumed the role, Pam Stewart, who has been our associate dean here of late, and especially Robert Yarminer, who has filled both roles, the associate dean, and now going back to associate dean as required. So I just wanted to thank them all for their vision, their adept leadership, their aplomb, and leading with grace and a sense of humor.
Hello, I'm Sarah Sullivan, also known as Sarah Smiles or Sarah Sparkle. I'm the Department Secretary of Campus Safety. If you haven't been to Campus Safety, you should come by and see us. I have an awesome team that I work with, and we got new carpeting too. We got a whole new little basement, so Campus Safety is looking awesome. And so this shout out goes to Marcus Olds, Mark Strong, Sean Convertis, Paul Maitland, along with the help of George Gankelitis and Richard Kevlar. Is there somebody else I forgot? I'm sorry. They did such an amazing job helping us move all the furniture, getting rid of stuff, bringing stuff over from SME. Some of the stuff they had to literally walk over on a dolly because they couldn't put it into one of the trucks or whatever for the whole back area. Because I don't know if you know, but hospitality is back in that wing also, and so moving all those desks, and we're talking, here we go today, move everything over from this side of the hall, put it back on Monday. Okay, Friday, move everything from this side of the hall, put it back on Monday. And then with my desk, being a nightmare as it was to take apart, put together, and then they even said, Sarah, you need something better. Got rid of that and brought the desk over from SME. So they were really great in helping us get our place looking good. Come see us at Campus Safety.
So Sarah, I don't know if you went to Campus Safety, but it was the only carpeting on the campus that was worse than yours. And it was so bad, I think the grime had grime on the carpet. So if you haven't been to Campus Safety, please go check it out. If you also haven't been to see the new area, of course, Detroit Promise Students that Rico now works in at the Student Center, please go check that out. It's a fantastic resource. And President Winless.
All right, my name is Leslie Winless. I am an academic advisor here at Newport College. My kudos goes to Rico Spencer, and I wanted to come up here to say it to your face. Thank you so much for everything you do for our students. I think one thing people don't get to see is you in action. You are one of the most caring, transparent people I've ever met in my life. If you have not had the privilege of hearing this young man's story, it's truly your loss. Rico was the keynote speaker at our annual First Generation Student Celebration, and there was not a dry eye in the room. You touched my soul with what you shared. You are such a great team member, and I just wanted to give my kudos to you. My second person is Ashley Cheers. Those of you who know me know that I am far from quiet, and I have a lot of questions. I never not have questions. And Ashley, when I first became a success navigator in February, took the tall glass order to be the person who would answer all of my questions. And she even gave me her cell phone number. I don't know if she regrets it now. But I want to tell her thank you. And last but not least, to the unsung heroes and financial aid from another foster child who aged out of the foster care system. Thank you so much for being my family away from family.
So let's do Stephanie, and then Betsy. And then, so Stephanie, Betsy, Lynn.
Okay, my name is Stephanie Lansky, and I work in financial aid, and we did not get new carpet. I just wanted to say, and Karen and I talked about that, I'm going to thank our whole staff, and I won't go through all the names, but financial aid can be a grind, and we are fully aware that faculty, we're not the favorite department on this campus, and that's because money is very personal, and so we understand that. But it is a grind. We're heavily regulated, and there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes, and our staff have a lot of pressure on them to make sure that, you know, when someone's calling, can you please do this, that whatever that is, that we're being compliant, and sometimes that's not always easy. And we also, you know, we have a defined way we need to run our processes, but within the last 3 years since COVID happened, what you may not see is there's been so many changes, both at the state and the federal level. And so we have our regular daily grind, but then the state of Michigan will throw in Futures for Frontliners and Michigan Reconnect, and then a new scholarship program coming next fall, and those are heavily manual. So that's in addition to our normal work. And then the feds will come in and say, well, because of COVID, here's how you always do things, but by the way, just in the middle of the year, why don't you change up how you're doing them? And that's like a nightmare. I'll just say that. But they do that. Our staff, our team, they're wonderful because whatever kind of gets thrown or lobbed our way, they just take it in stride. Okay, well, what does that mean? What do I need to change up and what do I need to do? And I'm very appreciative of that. And along with that, they do that without complaint. And I told them right before break that I love my job. But you can only love your job so much. If you have a team that is not fun to work with, loving your job won't be enough. And I am fortunate that I have a team that I love to work with. We call ourselves a dysfunctional family. We love each other, but we also know who's got the quirks and all those things. And so it's a great team to be a part of. And last but not least, it goes without saying, the man, the myth, the legend of Kevin Culler. He has on his spreadsheets. You know, if you want a stat, he's got them in his folder. And we had a federal program review last December. So right around Thanksgiving of 2021, we get a notice that, oh, the feds want to do a program review. This is about a once in a 10-year event. And it is it's kind of stressful. Well, we'll leave it at that. But Kevin is great in every way as a supervisor. But our college is incredibly fortunate to have him because he is amazing at what he does. And so we're all going to share this $10. I don't know how, but we've done it. So thanks to financial.
Thank you, Stephanie. Just a minute, we'll do Betsy and then President Boza. But I'll just say, Stephanie, the best mark, in my opinion, of a great leader is someone who inspires other people's conduct by modeling it. And that's what you do with your team. What you just described about the financial aid department is true. It's not the most popular. What you've also described is true, that they are a can-do group that work really hard and get no accolades and a lot of complaints. And they don't complain themselves. And that is how I would describe my interactions with you. That is why that team is like that. Betsy.
Good morning. I'm Betsy Combs from the English Division or Department, and I'd like to recognize Chelsea Lonsdale. She actually realized my childhood dream by giving me a mini light bright for Christmas. That is not why I recognize her. She directs the Writing Center, and the Writing Center has done just an amazing job of providing support to students across the disciplines, across the college, and adapting to the changing times. We've talked about making the transition back on campus. We've talked about the library's carpeting and all of that. So the Writing Center kept going without pause through the pandemic, and as we made our way back to campus, the Writing Center has offered different ways for the students to use the services. They have on-campus, in-person, one-on-one drop-in. They have synchronous online through Zoom. They have asynchronous help that they offer students. They have an incredibly organized way to make appointments. And I know they're working on a shoestring staff, so their work is all the more remarkable. They're also incredibly compassionate to our students. Chelsea actually worked really well with one of my students toward the end of the semester who was in crisis. And I know that from other students that the Writing Center staff has really made them feel at home, made them feel appreciated, and made them feel heard. So I'd like to thank Chelsea Lonsdale and everybody in the Writing Center.
Okay, President Boza.
Well, before she goes, I just need everyone to know, my dream has been realized, all the cards have been given out, but those of you who are giving out kudos, if you email me with the name of the people that you called out, we'll get you a card.
Oh, so are we down to one microphone too?
No, I got one,
Oh, okay.
one over there.
So can you, all right, so guys.
Two over there, I think.
All right, so
There's one down here.
we'll do Guy and then President Boza, and I have to say, those will be the last three. So we got a Guy, President Boza right here, and then Dr. Perry's gonna kill me because if we don't get out of here on time, then we're gonna start late. So we'll try to get out by 10:25, and if you're willing, please do come up and let's do a photograph of those of you doing shout outs. And then Dr. Perry, that'll give you all a 5-minute break. All right. Happy New Year, guys.
All right, I just want to give a quick shout out to Ruben Ruckley for all the stuff that he does for us. I know he's always got 1,000 things going on, and he always takes the time to make sure our labs are set up and everything's taken care of, especially with this construction that's going on. I think he deserves a good shout out, so Ruben Ruckley.
Okay, President Boza, as the mic makes its way, and then we'll do one more here in the front.
Good morning. I'm Lynn Boza. I work in counseling. I'm also the president of the Adjunct Faculty Organization. And myself and my board, Edgar Johns, Joanne Lee, Chelsea Davis, and Sherry Morgan, are starting our 2-year term right now. Anyway, I want to give a shout out to Sam Bosby. And the reason I want to give him this shout out is we had a little conversation at an AFT meeting, AFT regional meeting, and he said, you know, some of the adjuncts could do better in their interviewing skills when they interview for full-time people. So we created a training program. I want to thank him for spearheading that. And the program's been very successful, and we're going to be repeating it again in February. Thank you.
Hey Kurt, can you move my here, please?
Happy New Year, Sarah. When I see you, I smile. I'm Lisa Hastings, and I'm an assistant for the School of Health and Human Services. I love my job. I love my team. And if it weren't for our advisors, we wouldn't have any students. Sam Rogers, Troy Gibson, Julie Compton. Thank you so much for all that you do. When I get phone calls, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to say, how help me, and I forward them to them, and they're just wonderful. They work, their dedication is just wonderful. They work tirelessly, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so folks, I'll recap here. I would like your feedback around it. I suspect the feedback will be, we like it better when we talk instead of you so much, Russ. Because that was, I think, great. I feel strongly about you all being the path forward. And I hope you felt that here today and was shown that, how you can learn about each other and support each other and how meaningful it is to look at someone else in the face and to congratulate them on the work that they're doing. I encourage you to keep doing that. I really do believe that that'll keep us going forward. And I'm here for you in any way I can. For the rest of the semester, I'll be in this building, and in the summer I'll be in this building, and I'm going to be trying to do First Fridays in person, and I'm going to try to get you guys to come there and be there with me. So if there's something I can do or provide, maybe less jogging, let me know. If you're willing, please, if you did do a shout out or received a card, in fact, if you got a card, bring it. We'll do a picture with all you guys holding your cards.
One thing first, Russ, sorry. Cannot fail to thank Bruce Wall and his team for the great food this morning.
Yes, thank you. All right, Tony, what can I do on these shelves for each of these? 10 minutes. Okay, so